welcome to Veterans Views Podcast from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Now here are your hosts, Connie Karras and Steve Bramer.
Welcome back, everybody. Good morning. We are coming to you live from Hammond, Indiana, the WJOB JED TV studios here on your radio dial at 104.7 FM and 1230 AM. This is Veterans Views, and my name is Connie Karras. I'm one of your co-hosts, and I'm here with the wonderful Steve Bramer, my other co-host. How are you, sir?
Wonderful day.
It's
a beautiful day out.
Spring has sprung.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling?
Feels like it. I'm feeling okay.
How's the tooth?
Tooth is gone now, finally. So, I had a oral surgery. They took it out. They had to do a bone graft. They had to do something where they took some fat out of my cheek to put, and it was like a whole thing. I didn't realize that it was a big surgery like that. But
well, at least you got in and you got it taken care of, and I wish you a
through the
complete
VA
recovery. That's
so
progress.
That was a plus.
That's a struggle for so many. So I'm glad that worked out for you. So we have a wonderful show for you today. We have a very special guest that I think I can speak on behalf of everybody. We are most honored to have in the studio today. United States Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel Destiny Wells. Welcome to the show. How are you today, ma'am?
Hey, I'm great. You're right. It's a nice sunny day. Spring is here.
Spring has sprung. We hear the peepers, the blooms, the buds.
The peepers.
The peepers. My mother always said, when the peepers are peeping, spring has sprung.
That's not what we call peepers down where I'm from.
No.
Is there something you can say on air?
Probably not, ain't it?
It's in the criminal code.
All right. Well, I can't wait to get to everything. As many of you know, Veterans Views radio show now has a podcast. We have now 4 episodes online, publicly available. You can see them on Spotify, on Apple, TuneIn, radio, actually any kind of app that you want to use. But you can also go to the JED TV website, our official website, and view not only the podcasts there, but also the radio shows. And I'm noticing, Adriana, is our live feed, our Facebook feed down? I'm not seeing it loading. For those of you who are wondering if our Facebook feed went down, I think we're having some technical difficulties. But this is a perfect example of why we have a website, because when the Facebook feed goes down, you can actually go on JED TV, JED, J-E-D for Jimmy D, lowtv.com, and you can go look at our podcasts there, and you can go look at our radio shows on demand. And on that note also, as many of you know, I've mentioned this in previous radio shows, we are going to be transitioning off of Facebook. There are some new policies with regard to Facebook Meta, and we are going to be transitioning to another interactive platform where our audience can still comment and interact live with us, but it will not be Facebook, and we will announce what that platform will be. So stay tuned, and I'll give everybody information about that. But for now, just to go look at the podcast, Adriana, could you please put that infographic up for our audience? For those who are watching, let's just put it up anyway, even though it's not on a live Facebook feed, but it'll show up on demand. This is the information, the links to go to see our radio show and our podcast. All you have to do is go to www.jedtv.com/veterans-views.html. That's where you can go right now if the Facebook feed is not playing right now, which appears to be the situation, and you'll see that. That will never crash. To see the podcast, you go to the same website, www.jedtv.com/audio.html. Hank, Tank, Mary, and Leo. So again, for the podcast, www.jedtv.com/audio.html, and for the radio show, www.jedtv.com/veterans-views.html. And on that note also, we are going to be offering wonderful new tiers for Patriot Partnerships. We are going to actually be offering commercials for your business, for your organization. So we have new tiers and benefits that will include having preferential scheduling on the show, and you can run an ad on our podcast. So to do that, and could you do a ticker right now, maybe, Adriana? This is the email to contact us at veteransviewscontributor@gmail.com. veteransviewscontributor@gmail.com. All right, and before we talk to our wonderful guest, we have our flag etiquette question. Call in and give us the answer. No Googling. All right, where are the largest and tallest flags flying in our country? So what is the tallest flagpole? There are two different flags. And what is the largest flag? Where are those? And here's the bonus question for winner chicken dinner. If you can name the dimensions of the flag and how high the flagpole is, you'll get a chicken. I'll buy you a chicken dinner. All right, yeah. So
from Strax or from somewhere more expensive?
A very solemn thing before we get to Lieutenant Colonel Wells here. As many may be aware, there was a tragedy recently. Four military personnel were lost in a tragic accident. Soldiers died during a mission in Lithuania, and they were remembered this week as a mix of dedicated young fathers, talented Army mechanics, and key members of a close-knit unit. The 3rd Infantry Division named the soldiers who were killed after their M88A2 Hercules armored vehicle sank into a bog March 25th during an early morning operation that sparked nearly a week-long rescue effort. They are Staff Sergeant. Could you show the photographs of these young men, please, Adriana? They are Staff Sergeant Jose Dueñez Jr., 25, of Joliet, Illinois. Staff Sergeant Edvin F. Franco, 25, of Glendale, California. And they are in this order that I am reading them. If you can see, if the Facebook feed is up. PFC Dante D. Tatano, 21, of Vado, Guam, and Staff Sergeant Troy S. Knutson Collins, 28, of Battle Creek, Michigan. They all perished in the accident, and the division said 3 of them were promoted posthumously: Dueñez, Franco, and Collins. And although we are relieved to have found all of our dog-faced soldiers, it does not make the pain of their loss any less. End quote. Major General Christopher Norris, 3rd Infantry Division Commander. We will continue to care for and support the soldiers' families and loved ones as we bring them home and honor their memory. The bodies of 3 of the soldiers were found Monday, March 31st, 2025, after a recovery operation involving hundreds of troops and emergency response personnel. The 4th soldier, Collins, was recovered Tuesday, April 1st, the Army said. The soldiers were all part of a deployment of the Fort Stewart, Georgia-based Division 1's brigade, and the Army is investigating the cause of the accident, which happened while the soldiers were on a mission to retrieve a broken-down tactical vehicle. Our deepest heartfelt condolences. Let's have a moment of silence. And also a reminder that one of our co-hosts, Robert Rocky Rockwell, is currently on a TAD, year TAD. He's coming back, hopefully, in September sometime this year, and we are keeping him.
Coming fast.
Yes, it is coming around quickly, isn't it?
I remember when he was on his last show.
Yes, I remember that when he left. And Congressman Frank Mervan was here, as a matter of fact. So it was very nice to have Congressman Mervan here. Anyway, we send our condolences to this families, friends, everyone in the brigade of these gentlemen, and just remember that it's dangerous, and there are a lot of people out there right now who are fighting for our enduring freedom. And we have one actually sitting next to us right now. I'm going to introduce you, without further ado, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Destiny Wells has served 22 years in uniform and is currently in the U.S. Army Reserve. She is a combat veteran of the war in Afghanistan, and as such uses the VA for medical care. Professionally, she is an attorney in Politico who often finds herself in the region. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming up. She is married to a retired Indiana Army National Guard officer and raises their kids in Indianapolis. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a joy to be here again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was it 2022 when you were
I think
here?
that's what we were saying. Yeah.
So that was right after COVID. Right?
A couple years. Well,
It was right after COVID.
Yeah.
so, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on right now. Steve and I, we recorded a podcast, our 6th podcast, on my birthday last Friday after the show.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. And it's Steve's birthday today. Happy birthday, Steve. And the subject matter of that podcast was, well, many things. The probationary firings that are taking place across many of the agencies of our government right now by the current administration. We opened this segment, the podcast, with the video audio of a woman, a 20-year combat veteran in Missouri. Joy McGarver is her name. She retired first sergeant, and she was 2 months shy of a year as a probationary VA employee in Missouri. And she's also a disabled combat veteran fighting the war within. So when she found out she was fired with a forum email, she got in her truck with the intent to take her life. She drove to a bridge, and out of the corner of her eye, she saw the VA clinic. And instead walked into the crisis center there. She's safe now. She's back home, but she's in crisis. And what she did was she made a statement without saying a word. She began inverting the U.S. colors, the United States flag, flying it upside down, which a lot of veterans apparently are doing nationwide right now because there's so much rage as what's going on, not just at the VA, but in general. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I saw the flag inverted for the first time recently at the Indiana State House, and it was one of my fellow sister veterans. Her name is Blythe, and she...
I know Blythe, yes.
Blythe put her uniform on, and she took the flag, and she stood with it. And that was really shocking for a lot of people. I knew why she was doing it. And so, we have a whole network of us who are down in Indianapolis, but then I also have friends up here, right? Like Martin Del Rio, I think just last night was speaking at an event. So, my network, my military net is wide, but a lot of us know each other, and we actually have part of our peer group is working at the VA in Indianapolis. So we know that we are causing a crisis, right? Our institution is causing, this is self-induced, and especially that story that you just told, that is a self-induced crisis because of poor leadership and poor execution of the mission that we've been set out to do, both in uniform and then also our civil servants who work at the VA.
Yes.
Are you, because you're an attorney, right?
By trade, yes.
By trade, right? Are you an attorney with JAG in the military?
No, I was a commissioned military intelligence officer already when I went through law school, and I stayed until, I like to say I like Joe, so I didn't want to be a judge advocate. I like Joe.
Yeah.
I want to keep it that way.
Yeah. And it's just because we've seen so many changes in the military over the years that we've covered over here, so I was just curious if you can see those changes being in the military. I mean, you can see them outside, but are they being practiced inside,
Well, I think so. I mean, I'm here in my personal capacity, right? This is me personally speaking as Destiny, and not on behalf of the Department of Defense. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
But there is, they teach senior officers, well, junior officers too, but that you need to look at the organization in two regards, climate and culture. And the culture of the organization is always evolving. and bettering itself, course correcting. But the culture has definitely shifted in many, many ways in the last 22 years. And then as the climate goes, the things we can impact readily every day, I think we're seeing a climate change within our institutions like the Veterans Administration. I think we were talking before we got on here about some of the HR practices that are really that's a climate change that it will shift the culture. It will make a less friendly Veterans Administration when you go in to get your care, in certain facilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, excuse me, Steve, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. Go ahead.
When we, to get back to the podcast, that we had recently recorded in here last Friday after the radio show, it was last Tuesday. One of our co-hosts, Donna Dunn, was a part of that, and she said she misses how the country came together with 9/11. And did not you get inspired to enter the military, enlisted, or become an officer?
Yeah, my whole service was framed by 9/11, right? So 9/11 happened when I was a senior in high school, and then I enlisted shortly after, went through ROTC.
Oh, such a pivotal time.
It was, and so I mean, that's the only reality that I knew when I got in, right? I would hear people talk about the 80s and the 82nd, and then and people who didn't necessarily want to be there that were there. But this was, the all-volunteer force type of philosophy where everybody came to serve because they wanted to help the country, and that was how my career was framed. And I was talking to my girlfriend on the way up here who's previously enlisted and works as a social worker in the VA. And she said, she feels vilified now as a federal employee. And,
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
That wouldn't have happened after 9/11. That, it's just we've totally tried to, it's changed. Because of outside factors, because of everyday culture and information, but also I think, not to get too political, but there's a very intentional messaging campaign going on right now that is causing Americans to look at anybody who's serving in government as wasteful, excessive, unnecessary. And we were talking about it from the philosophy of, I used to have this professor down at Indiana University who was a case officer in the CIA. And, at 1920, him talking to me, he broke it down to us. There are people who do their job for the 9 to 5. And then there are people like my brother who do the job for the weekends and the boat.
Yeah.
Mission-oriented people versus dollar-driven. And we have institutions that are so mission-oriented right now that are being changed by people who are dollar-driven.
Yeah.
And it's so unnerving to folks like us because we know that we're shortchanging the mission and that the mission's always supposed to come first, right? We're not corporate America. People are always comparing now government to, it needs to run like corporate. No, we don't have profit margins, right? Our profit margins are people. We are people margins. And I think that is where a lot of the rub is coming right now and why communities like ours feel just so distraught in watching how things are evolving.
Yes, because the messaging is, everything's okay. This is we're just going to have to adjust to this, but the waste and fraud will be the swamp will be drained. Yet then you talk to the people being affected, right? There's a completely different story. And this dissonance in what we're being messaged and what we're actually witnessing, that's very serious. And I can see how it can lead somebody to invert a flag out of desperation, out of rage. The woman I just spoke with from the podcast who almost drove her truck over a bridge, so distressed after being fired, she was inspired, like you, to serve her country after 9/11. So, what do we do here? How can we move on and get past this? There's so much. One thing that, as individually, what can we do, I guess, is what I'm asking, because there's so much arguing, there's so much divisiveness, there's just so much hatefulness toward people that was never there. And how can we mend this? What would you tell the average person how to deal with all of this craziness going on, trying to, say, get through their day? I'm putting my phone away and taking a lot of things out of the feed so that I don't have to see all this disinformation. And
that is the best thing you could do.
But it's a double-edged. But it's difficult to do that when you need to be looking at things. Like right now, we need to look at our phones to see if the Facebook feed is right. I can't just put it away, and we have to interact with people. But what would you say to people? What would be your best advice for how we get through this?
You just said what I was thinking, right? And I actually was just thinking about this morning, because professionally for me right now, it's not going the greatest. And then I'm also 41, and I got a PT test coming up, and I really don't even like to work out anymore. It's just every day starting to become
those PT tests, right?
I know. Yeah, no, not me. No profile here. But I've found that every hour of my day I'm having to manage at a time, right? Just to be, we say resilience. We teach resilience in the military, but to just get through. Whereas when I was younger, I would just pop up and, I'm going to bed now.
It was so much easier then.
And I'm like, why is this your reality right now? And I always kind of, it's a little counterintuitive. And I know some people would say, well, I had a really rough deployment, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But, I go back to a baseline of being deployed, because you're eating the same food every day, the same time, your sleep schedule, depending on mission, you're, if you are across the world, like I was deployed to Afghanistan, I'm 10 and a half hours ahead of I'm not on the same news cycle. Right. I remember when the election came in, I was there in 2016 when the election came in, and everybody was at night and we were in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's I had a very controlled environment, although it wasn't so controlled, right? Yeah. During a firefight or something, or a mortar attack, it's not controlled. But for most of the time, you're bored and it's controlled. Yeah. And so I was thinking about the phone, and I was thinking, did you not wake up? Because we had some Wi-Fi, it was cruddy, but we had Wi-Fi. Were you not looking at the news every morning you woke up? I was just doing this morning, thinking what? I guess I wasn't. Because I just wasn't on the same 24-hour news cycle. It was not a priority of my day. I would read the news eventually, but it was usually the paper that the Stars and Stripes that they got rid of, right?
Yes, I remember the Stars and Stripes.
It'd be the Stars and Stripes in the mess hall, and it would be because that's what they told me was important.
Yeah.
And, so we would all just read it together and kind of talk about it, but you have to start to now be very intentional about how you're consuming your information, because I always tell people, there was a defense conference I was sitting in 2021 that was just life-changing for me, and it was a woman. I'm in this group called Truman National Security Project. It's actually how I was first introduced to Pete Buttigieg. And so it's kind of like left of aisle progressives that they started this organization as a response to the neocon movement in after the war, or start of 9/11. Mm-hmm. And basically, this woman was talking to us, and she had kind of gotten herself in the Trump administration because she was doing really, really deep research and work in education. And she told us in 21, she said, how we consume information is that we are getting so much information that we don't know how to decipher what we're getting, right? And we're choosing it selectively. And we are remapping our brains. And our society is going through these transformational changes. And, I don't want to keep going, but at the end of the day, she was like, so your kids are going to be more transient. They're not going to, stay home like they used to. And until
oh my God. And has that come true?
Yeah, right. She was so prescient.
Right.
Until we start to accept this reality, life's going to be really hard.
So
I think we have excuse me, Steve, do we have a caller, Adriana? Yes, we do. Hold those thoughts, my friend.
While you do that, I'm going to look something up. That's
all right. Very good.
Good timing.
Good morning, caller. You're on Veterans Views.
Good morning. This is Colonel Jones.
Good morning, Colonel Jones.
Hi. I'm just enjoying the conversation. And you know what? As the young lady was speaking, as veterans, we are accustomed to deployments and our lives being turned upside down. The world really isn't. So this is all a new phenomenon for them. We can help them, though, and just let them say that, things happen and you can survive. We all have those survival techniques where you either fight or flight. And if you're losing your job because of everything that's going on, if you're losing your wealth because of stocks falling, if you are losing what was normal to you, all of these agencies and organizations that were out there that are no longer there or being downsized, this too shall pass. You can make it. And so we have to all stick together, and veterans can teach our other civilians and citizens that it's going to be okay. And just remember that crisis hotline that the Veterans VA has, 988. If it gets to where you're at your wit's end, just breathe, call that number. You can talk with somebody, it's confidential, and you'll make it through that step. That's what happens when we get deployed. We get dropped in a country we have no means of getting back. We don't know where our next water, food, supplies will come from. We're in a foreign land. We're facing the unknown, but with strength in numbers, there is more strength. So thank you, Miss Connie Karras, and thank you, Mr. Steve Bremer, for bringing people on to talk on your show like this young lady, a fellow veteran. And this just hit me.
Combat veteran, yes.
Combat veteran. So and we have so many of us out there who know, and we can share. And the one main thing is you can make it. Just make it through this next step. God bless you all, and thanks for giving me a time to share.
You're very welcome. Lieutenant Colonel Arthurine Jones, wonderful advocate, veteran advocate, tireless advocate. Thank you, ma'am. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
I'm going to piggyback off of that comment because, yes, it is a wonderful, no doubt, message to say, okay, we're going to be okay. We can do this. There's help out there. But I think sometimes that coming from a place where we are okay, we have another caller. Hold on, caller. We'll get right to you. I wouldn't feel comfortable right now telling somebody who's in horrid who lost their a loved one or their job or is feeling like the government doesn't have their back. There are people definitely in crisis right now, and I don't think saying okay, pull yourself up by your bootstraps is exactly going to help a lot of people. There is a lot more that we could be doing rather than just telling people just to go call 988. But it, like Lieutenant Colonel Jones said, it's a start, and there is help out there. But I'm coming from a privileged place where I haven't been affected by any of these firings, and there aren't bombs falling on my head. I'm coming from a pretty privileged place, saying, hey guys, we're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's not okay right now for a lot of people. People are losing their jobs. They're not able to pay their bills. They're not able to get medication. They're not able to get appointments that they need that are very important medical appointments. Some are losing their lives. Go ahead, caller. Good morning. You're on Veterans Views.
Good morning, everybody.
Commander Dillon, sir, how are you?
I've often wondered. when I figure it out, I'll let you know. A couple of things real quick. first of all, happy birthday, Steve. Steve Bramer.
21.
You
Big 2-1.
Thanks, Ernie.
Yes, sir. And happy belated birthday to you, Connie.
Thank you, sir.
And to Destiny Wells, I'm happy to hear your voice on the radio, especially Veterans Views, most popular program in the world. And our job on the Veterans Views there, as the hosts do a great job, is serving veterans and their families and helping them navigate through the system. Having said that, two things real quick. I read in the paper this morning when we hang up, you can talk about it. I read that the pull tabs that we've been trying to get in our lodges, the VFW, American Legions, yada, yada, have been passed by the Indiana General Assembly.
Yeah, can you believe that?
So that's going forward.
That's huge.
And, yeah, that's big, and that's good news. But I'll, again, hang up pretty soon and let you guys talk about that. But to Destiny, I want to thank you for your service. And we've met numerous times on the campaign trail. And I admire your attitude toward good government, and also the dedication that you have in running for public office. And I want to tell you a little funny side story. I'm a retired elected official out of government, pushing 106 years old. And I ran every 4 years, 7 times, for 28 years before I got elected.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
And Steve, you helped me do that.
You can keep that record.
Oh, man.
That's a cartwheel story. Anyway, but I just wanted to...
God, you're just busting me out left and right today, aren't you?
No. And I set my New Year's resolution not to beat up on Steve. You're my favorite guy,
failing miserably, my friend.
But some things never change. But anyway, having said all of that, I wish you well and with the show and everything that each and every one of you is doing. And I've always voted for you, Destiny, and always will, because I want to see you in a governmental position, because I know your heart is in it, and for the good of the country is in it. So if there's nothing else, I'll let you go and get on to your program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Dillon, and
Got one more.
Yes, and we got another caller. Thank you, sir, for your selfless service to our enduring freedom. And we're going to take another caller. Before we take that caller, just wanted to mention the Hammond Mayor's Council Disabilities Council has a free ramp program, and call 219-713-4545. This is for you, Commander Dillon. I forgot to announce it. 219-713-4545 Excuse me, that's the wrong phone number. I'll give it a little bit later. Let's take our caller. Caller, you're on Veterans Views.
Hi, I just wanted to say I'm glad you disagreed with your earlier caller. There is no parallel or analogy between militarily trained personnel and civilians with respect to confronting some of these shocks to the system, be it these domestic shocks that we're currently undergoing. And I'm glad that you pointed it out, because being dropped into a military zone as part of a mission, when you've had sufficient training, when you've had, when you know that you're going to be confronting outrageous risks in some respect, if not all respects, compared to civilian life, where people and the element of risk, foreseeability, all these things there's been steps made to keep things under control. I just didn't find the analogy or any parallel there that was valid at all. And I just wanted to say thank you for at least offering some resistance to it.
Well, thank you. What is your name, sir?
George.
George, it's wonderful. Are you a veteran, sir?
No.
No, and I thank you for calling in and sharing your thoughts about this. Very valuable. And I want to make another point, too, before our guest and Steve make more comments. There is a wonderful program, speaking of being in crisis, a wonderful program. The Veterans Views radio show is under the umbrella of the American Legion, and as such, we have we're in congruence with the mission of the American Legion. And there is a wonderful, wonderful American Legion program called Be the One to Save a Life. I underwent the training for that recently online. It is a wonderful program. The American Legion calls on us to do buddy checks. Officially twice a year, but now with what's going on in the world, every single day. The buddy check consists of calling in active members, going to their houses. We have wonderful little door hangers here to say, we weren't home, we missed you, we were looking for you, and a little QR code. And of course, you have to have a smartphone to be able to scan that, but at least we can leave our phone numbers on there and keep trying to get a hold of people. People are in crisis more than ever. There are statistics that say the suicide rate is going down. I think the latest statistic I looked at was 17 a day. I don't believe that to be true. I think it's much higher than even 22 because there's really no way at all to quantify that. They're not reported quite often, and there is such searing, horrible pain.
I feel like overdoses should be considered in that amount as well.
Yeah, sometimes they're made, oftentimes, to look like accidents, and there's just such searing pain with the families that they don't even want to talk about it, so they won't even report it. So I think it's really, we're in terrible crisis right now. Do those buddy checks, everybody, and go to www.legion.org. Sign up for this Be the One program. It's through the it's a wonderful. The next ones coming up are on April 8th. We have April 16th, April 24th. It's an hour and a half online training. It's wonderful, and it's the Columbia Protocol. Suicide prevention protocol, and it taught me a lot of things about suicide I didn't know. One of them being people who are deployed feel a camaraderie with each other, and most people who are taking their lives are not in combat. They're not deployed. It's after they're deployed, and they come home and they feel like they don't have a purpose. So, you have that camaraderie, you have that mission, but then when you come home, you oftentimes you don't even know what your mission is, and it's hard to assimilate back into civilian life. I had that problem when I came back home. So
that's what I was going to tell you about when you were talking about when you came back, and then how you're having, how you're kind of struggling to wake up now. I was having that problem too, because I felt like I couldn't care about the stuff here like I did when I was overseas.
Yeah,
and it's not like I did. It's just that's how I felt. I just felt like I couldn't care about some of these issues, like being on time, shaving, looking nice. I didn't care. We're risking my life 2 years ago in Iraq, and then now I'm over here worrying about this. No, I didn't care. So then I would blow it off, but see, that's where I messed up, because then I started going down that route where I didn't care. And then that's where the trouble starts compounding on itself,
Yeah, the problem for me is, and so the previous, Commander Ernie Dillon?
Yeah.
Yes, mentioned it, so I, kind of outed. Yeah, I ran for office multiple times. That is like a mission for me. And when I turn that back on, man, I'm going. They say like destiny's everywhere, and I am. Like, I'm on the road tons, tens of over 100,000 miles on the car between a couple campaigns, but like I have something that I'm trying to do and improve for the greater good, at least through my perspective. And so when you shut that off each time, I struggle coming off of political campaigns, just like I struggle coming off of deployment.
Yeah. Because
you just totally take the mission and like rip it away. And then you're like, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Right. And then you have to assess your own value, because you're like, I know I'm a value add, put me to work. And I think, when I referenced being on the phone with my girlfriend who's a social worker at the VA on the way up here, she said, I'm dealing with that because I'm having to justify the importance of my work at the VA right now. And I know I'm such a value add. I'm such an asset because I'm with those people, like you said, coming off of deployments or the transition from active duty to civilian life. I am with them through their biggest transitions. I am doing such important work. And it's only because she's so sure of herself that she's able to continue on every day. But it's just, there's a ripple effect through the entire community from any type of job, you know, of saying like, hey, this isn't performance-based, but we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and so it makes life really hard. And so, like, we're talking about this, you know, macro type of coming off of a deployment and having to integrate back. But people are having those challenges all along the way, just, you know, in different facets of life, with how we are doing government right now.
Yes. We have 2 more callers. Caller?
Well, we got a lot of callers.
Yes, we have 2 more. I'll hold that thought, Lieutenant Colonel Wells. Go ahead, caller. You're on Veterans Views. Good morning. Nope. Do we have the other caller? Okay. Good morning. You're on Veterans Views.
Connie, how you doing? This is Ken Collins from the Vet Center.
Ken, how are you, sir?
Hey, Ken.
What a nice surprise.
What's going on now? How you doing, Steve and Connie?
First better.
First, good. Happy birthday, my good man.
Thanks.
And happy belated birthday, Connie.
Thank you.
I know you guys celebrated well.
Yes, with family, quietly.
Good.
I went into nature and got
Hey.
away from the racket of the smartphones and the disinformation, and connected with my family. How are you, sir? We would love to have you on the show sometime.
Whenever.
Okay.
I'm
Just
always
let me know.
available for Veteran Views. It's one of my favorite programs, so you guys have always been good to us. So whenever you want, I'm there.
Wonderful. Do you have any questions for Lieutenant Colonel Wells this morning?
So I don't, Lieutenant Colonel Wells. Thank you for coming and sharing with us and the veterans in Northwest Indiana. We appreciate that. I've met you before, and it's always good to see you. So thank you for your service and your continued support of veterans.
Well, good to talk to you.
So great show. I am calling because I felt I needed to inform everybody, because once again, it's that time of year for our PGA Hope sessions. And I know in the past, a lot of veterans didn't get the opportunity to participate. And so I wanted to make sure I got a jump on getting the information out there for participation these sessions. What can be done is, in the past, I've kind of registered each veteran myself, but I'm gonna open it up for veterans to be able to go online to PGA.com, go to the link on the tab, things to do, and register themselves. The instructions are there. The next session is the 29th of April. Every Tuesday, 6 weeks. No golf equipment required. No clubs, they got it all. No prior golf experience. No VA disability ratings required. So this is open for all veterans. They do not have to have any combat deployments. Just come and participate.
And this is the PGA, correct? The PGA
Yes,
Hope?
it is.
Yep.
Absolutely. It is sponsored by the PGA. All costs are covered by the PGA.
Now, if they can't do it online, can they still come to you to do it for them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to suggest next. Thanks, Steve. If you can't do it online, I know some people have difficulty with that technology and all of that. Great and wonderful. You come to 107 East 93rd Avenue in Crown Point, the Vet Center, and myself, the illustrious Ken Collins, will register.
Ken, do you have a phone number that you can share with folks as well?
Absolutely, Connie. My number is 219-736-5633. And I know Colonel Jones is still listening, so I want to say, hey, Colonel Jones.
Will you repeat that phone number again, Ken? 219?
736-5633.
219-736-5633, and go to pgareach.org. That takes you actually directly to the PGA Hope site, website, reach.org. That's what I'm seeing. Is that correct? It tells you how to register if you can do that?
It's correct, but there's two ways. You can also go on to PGA.com and just tab on things to do, and there will be a list on the left-hand side of all of the PGA Hope events in the areas.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, we thank you so much.
No problem. They've also added 2 more sessions in Valpo that start May 1st.
Okay.
So if anybody needs that information, give me a call. I'll pass it out. Stop by, see me. I'll register you myself.
Wonderful.
Awesome, man.
Thank you so much. Ken,
no problem, guys.
We're going to have you on.
Keep up the great work, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Take care now. So I wanted to, or do we have any more callers? We have one more? Okay. No? Okay. I wanted to address, before we announce some important announcements, events coming up, I wanted to address part of what we talked about on our podcast with you, if I may. You remember, Steve, when we were talking about the probationary federal workers and the judge's order to halt their separations. Well, what has happened, from my understanding, is that they have their jobs are kind of like in limbo. So they're basically the probationary status, and if you can address this, the probationary status has been lifted, but they are not able to come back to work while this all plays out in the courts, and they're getting paid to not go to work. Is that what's happening right now?
Well, but that actually makes more sense because I asked, anecdotally, have you seen people return to work? And I was told that one person who was returning to work was given the option to take administrative leave for 3 weeks and to think it over if they really wanted to come back. So I'm sure there's a ton of HR maneuvering going on right now in how we're dealing with bringing people back. But there's also, I want to allude to there are a lot of other changes going on, and especially as patients seeking care, I think that we'll start to see the fallout from. The VA and Indy just lost 200 spots for veteran patients. They are bringing their call centers back in, right? So the telework, the remote working policy has changed. So a lot of workers are having to come back in. They're having problems with HIPAA, secure environment, making sure that they're following all that procedure. But the call centers, I saw like an old dark room, and they get their computer and their monitor. Those were the things that you could do remotely. And so at the end of the day, what's happening is there's going to be less and less room for care as a patient. So we'll be getting pushed out to community care, which if we care about the bottom dollar, that's not necessarily saving money to push people out on the economy and not be getting their care in the VA.
Yeah. Over 40% went to community care last year from the VA budget. And that's crazy.
Well, I'm very curious to see where that falls out this year.
Imagine how many doctors you could get with that.
Well, or we were talking about too, like a doctor, they can make more money on the outside of the VA. There's a reason they're serving inside the institution. And those things are not aligning with the perspectives of people who are making severe changes right now. So, yes, the self-induced crisis on the worker front within the administration, but also those of us, and I know like probably many listeners who use VA care, are going to continue to see ripple effects in how we are served.
I think what most people are happy to see is that, finally somebody is addressing the stupid stuff that they pay for. Like, there's always been the adjective that a hammer costs like $10,000 in the Army, right? Well, for some people, they're like, good, finally somebody's actually doing something about the hammer that costs $10,000. But what they didn't see coming was how that was going to happen, right? And I think that's where now people are scared, people are torn, because I think some people can agree that something like this had to happen. They're just not agreeing with how it's happening.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I would push back, though, and say that is a tool. That's not a person. That's not a skilled worker. And so, for example, taking some people out of supply at the VA. They didn't realize that the second and third order effects of that were now they have like less operating rooms available. And so they're devaluing the asset that person is providing. They're not a hammer, and don't let them tell you that you're a hammer. And that was the big beef on the phone with my girlfriend this morning, was that she was like, I am of value, and I'm not going to get jerked around. I have an alternative path I can take. I worked really hard to be here, and I will not get bumped down from, we were talking about what would we say it was called? Retreat or bump? Bump or retreat?
Bump or retreat.
I am not going to retreat to a GS7 position after I worked my tail off. I'm also not going to bump out my GS11 peer. Because they're making it very Hunger Games inside, the climate of the VA, where even coworkers are not. You walk in, everybody says, "Can I help you? Can I help you?
Right,
Do you need to go to this elevator, go to this wing?" That environment is being degraded rapidly.
And I think it's tough because, like, I've had my complaints about the VA. I think the VA has made great strides over the years, but I also think they have their faults. Like if you got to see the doctor for getting sick, you get in right away. But if you got to go for specialty care, you're waiting 3 to 6 months. And this was before this even happened. I mean, this is
I game
years
the
that
system.
this happened.
Oh no, I game the system, and then you have patients that game it. I mean, right? We're resourceful. We were military. So like, I know that if I say I have this going on, which maybe I do, but it's not really why I'm here. I'm going to get in because I'm going to now not go through a social worker. I'm going to go through, a mental health counselor or psychiatrist or something, And so like, we make our patients game the system because you said the wait times are so ridiculous. And now, so how does leaning out the VA more make sense?
I know.
When there's already resource scarcity.
How does cutting $80,000 from the VA, putting the staff to 2019 levels, and then we have the PACT Act of 2022, how can we handle that huge influx of additional disability claims just by virtue alone of the PACT 22
and they're
Act of 2022
already behind
with 2000? Correct. How is that efficient?
Yeah.
And speaking of how people aren't going into the VA to get rich, the Joy McGarver, who we spoke of earlier, the Minnesota National Guardswoman who nearly took her life after getting fired. What she said when she was interviewed, she doesn't want to make a lot of money at the VA. Her heart is in it. This is her last tour of duty. So how can somebody like Doug Collins get on the horn and say, "Oh, we're going to be okay"? Just get used to it. It's going to be a rough ride, but get used to it. This is just what. How have we lost our humanity? And how are we going to handle with 80,000 less folks in the VA all of these additional disability claims? We're already not serving people well.
Yeah.
What's the answer here? If you were in charge, what would you do?
Well, I would have to live by example, and I think that's why our individual voices are so important. Because we are our best advocates, and we have to advocate for care and for our benefits and resources. And so. That's where I am, and it's hard because I understand government too much now, and I know how hard it is, call your congressman or whatever. But then I think the check-ins, we've kind of went over all of it, right? Like, be more diligent on your news consumption, where you're taking in information, check in on your buddies. And also remember that you have value and to advocate for yourself.
And don't villainize each other, because this inverted flag situation, some people are so offended by that. And I'm sure I've never spoken to Joy McGarver, who has done this woman, this Minnesota Guardswoman. I'm sure she's not doing it to offend fellow veterans, but I can see both sides. I understand that it can offend people. I don't know if I would do it. I'll tell you this much: I've not been hurt by any of this so far. And if I was, and I mentioned this in the podcast, I very well might invert that flag. And that if it offends somebody, there's no right or wrong here. What's important here is to do your best to be a good human being, be good to people, speak your mind, and if you are in any kind of crisis, express it the best way you see fit. And when we place a judgment on that, we place a judgment on an inverted flag because somebody's been very damaged by a very unfair system, we're losing our humanity. They're not making a statement against me personally. I can see how people are offended by it, and I respect that. There's no right or wrong here. The most important thing, though, is to speak your mind, be authentic. Be authentic and do something for the betterment of everybody here, because we're all hurting. And don't demonize somebody for inverting a flag. Don't demonize somebody for being upset at the inversion of a flag. We need to, because we're in distress here, and this is unprecedented times for so many veterans to be inverting that flag.
And like I said on the podcast, I know vets that were doing this with the last administration, right? So I mean, everybody has that's the beauty of this country. You have your voice, and you can say whatever you want, right? I just hope. I like how it stays with that, when you start seeing people vandalize and destroying stuff, that's where it takes it too far, on either side.
Of course.
And, so that was a heavy topic today.
Yes, well, we're almost out of time. I would like Lieutenant Colonel Wells to have the last word. Some very quick events. Veterans Cafe and Catering has a wonderful, wonderful women's coffee social, and I wanted to let everybody know about that. That is, do you have the flyer for that? By any chance? There we go. It's a Veterans Cafe and Catering at I believe it's 7805 West Half Street in Maryville, and that is the first Wednesday. We just missed that. That was just this past week, last Wednesday, a couple days ago, and that is from also 9 to 11, and that's a wonderful time to have some camaraderie, some wonderful connections with women veterans, and that is the first Wednesday of every month, and that is a VA run coffee social. So if you can make it to that is great. And visit Veterans Cafe and Catering over there. It's a veteran-owned cafe, and they do catering, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to go for. They have every second Saturday a wonderful veterans breakfast. So. Then we have one more thing I wanted to announce. It's the North Township Veterans Roundtable Annual Golf Outing. That's on June 14th. And Steve and you and I are part of the Veterans Roundtable over there at Wicker Park. They do this every year. It's on June 14th, open to the public, of course. Registration begins at noon. There's a registration begins at 11. Shotgun start at noon. The cost is $80 a golfer, $320 for a foursome. And for more information, 219-313-3943, 219-313-3943. Well, how much time do we have for closing comments, Adriana? Okay.
Well, no, I thank you for having me. And I would say in departing comments would be, I've been telling people in my political space that every minute we spend on the defensive, talking and defending the past is a minute we lose to the future. And we are going through a paradigm shift right now in many different facets of life, government, politics, world order. Some days it feels like we're all supposed to be deeply uncomfortable right now. Your discomfort means that you are attentive, and that you care, and that you have empathy, and that you have sympathy. And so just know that you're supposed to feel like this. And even at the top of the flagpole right now, it's how people feel. And so just know that there are people like you and that are turning these questions over every day in heavy topics, and to, as the Army taught me, hunt the good stuff, be resilient. I really hated that phrase. There's a lot of ways you can make fun of hunt the good stuff as a phrase.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so that's what I got.
Well, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your selfless service to our enduring freedom, and all that you do every day to make this a better place for all of us. We appreciate your service, so we'll have you back on the show later.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so
that was
much.
Awesome.
But I wanted to talk a little bit more about your service as well too, but maybe sometime later. And
maybe when I'm retired.
When you retire, you can come back on the podcast where we can talk about more.
Then I can really dish.
Stuff. Yes, exactly.
Well, we can actually have you on the podcast very soon. So.
Not while I have a PAO still.
Okay.
So no.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Everybody's got a boss.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to our guest, U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Reservist Destiny Wells, for coming in today and talking with us about how to make this a better world. This is the United States of America. Let's come together. Let's be kind. Let's try to do the best we can. Be kind to everybody. Everybody is struggling with something. Just pay it forward with one small kind act, and that will ripple. Let's just turn it around and be there for each other. And again, if you're in crisis, 988, add a 1. Add a 1. You can call or text 988. You add a 1 to that. You can speak to a veteran peer support specialist. So it'll be veteran to veteran. All right, Steve, any closing comments? Happy birthday. Happy 21st birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And we'll see you next. The Volunteers of America, Ohio, Indiana will be our guests next Friday. Everybody make the best of it. And God bless America. Hoorah.
Hoorah.
You've been listening to Veterans Views Podcast from the Jed TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Thank you for listening.